Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Homeschool Minnesota. My name is Dale Annand, and Homeschool Minnesota podcast is an outreach of MACHE. If you are interested in MACHE, I will put a link to our website down below in the description of this podcast. Today, I get to have back for a second time Carrie Lindquist, who is the author of multiple books on Masterbooks. But one of the ones that we're going to talk about today, which we kind of talked about a little bit in the fall, was on, we did a combination of her phonics and science curriculum for early years. And so we're going to actually get more into science. And so this is the book I'm talking about. If you are on YouTube, you get to see it. If you're not, go to YouTube and you can see it. But it's called Adventures in Creation. And we're going to talk a little bit about just the different kinds of, she has a lot of different levels of books. And so we're going to first get into that. But first, let's have Carrie introduce herself and tell us a little bit about herself. Hi, Carrie.
Hi, Dale. Thanks so much for having me back.
Well, thanks for coming.
So, yeah, I am an author with Masterbooks. So I have the Foundations Phonics and the Let's Talk Science series, and that goes from levels K through 4. So I'm a second generation homeschool mom. I'm a homeschool coach and curriculum author. I have 3 boys. They are 12, 11, and 3. So we have quite an age range going on right now. And yeah, that pretty much sums us up. So we live in Northwest Arkansas and we're excited. The weather's finally getting nice and we're getting ready for camping season at the lake. So we're pretty excited about that.
Well, that's fun. You're a camping family.
Yes, we love it.
That's so good. Minnesota is a big camping state. We have a lot of, well, we have lakes like everywhere. So, I mean, to land of 10,000 lakes, which I guess from what I have read, we have actually over 14,000 lakes. So I don't know. It's just nuts. And then we've got some ponds that are pretty big. And I wonder, should that just be a lake? I don't know. But anyway, I'm excited to have you back. And it shouldn't surprise me that you're a camping family, because a lot of what you do in your science curriculum is very nature-based. Get outside, get the kids involved in what's going on out there and observing science through God's creation. So let's talk a little bit, first of all, just about the science curriculum. Tell us a little bit about like why you wrote it, kind of what it is that your focus is on. I know it's K through 4th grade, which is perfect for those parents who are like intimidated by science, but they need something really solid. Talk to us a little bit about your curriculum.
Yeah, so I actually, when I was a student, I did not like science at all. It was dry, it was boring. I didn't see how it connected to my faith. It was just one of those subjects that you had to do. So fast forward to when I have my 2 older sons, and they would have these really big science questions, and we'd be out in the yard and they'd be like, well, Mom, what about this? I'd be like, I don't know about that. Let's go figure it out. And so we would just go explore. I would do research. When they had a question, we would just dive in and really go explore that subject. And while we were there, we would find all of these connections to the Bible or to our faith, or we would explore this thing. And I'd say, oh, that reminds me of this Bible verse and what God shows us through this. And so that really became the inspiration behind the Let's Talk Science series, was just the adventures and the explorations that I was doing with my boys. And then I had the opportunity to go to Yellowstone National Park with a group. And as we were touring the park, the guide is telling us all this fascinating information. And I'm looking around on the bus and I'm like, oh my goodness, these are amazing facts. And like, this is a glimpse into who my creator is. And I'm sitting in the seat, like ready to jump up and down. And I'm looking around and everyone else is like, well, these are cool facts, but okay, let's talk about something else. And I'm like, this is our creator on display and all of these fascinating things that we're talking about right now. And so that launched just the whole inspiration for the series, and really getting to dive in and explore God's creation, let that impact our faith, but do it in a way that's really easy on mom, because science is usually a really intimidating subject. It can be a really expensive subject if you need a lot of lab supplies. And I'm not that mom. So I needed something that was going to be really attainable. So it's designed to be really easy on mom. It's pretty well grab and go. I utilize supplies that most people have on hand or are really easy to grab at the dollar store. And so it's made to be fun with your kids so that we can, at the end of the day, we want to have really good memories with our kids. And we want them to be able to look back and be like, oh, remember that day we learned about this and we did that project and that was so fun. And I remember the lesson from my faith. That's what we want. And so this really empowers you to be able to have that experience without it being like very stressful or a huge burden.
Yeah. I love that about your curriculum because I look at it and it's like at the very beginning, it's the entire year mapped out. Now, for some moms like me, I loved lesson planning. That was the weirdest thing about me, I think. I really enjoyed like organizing the curriculum and what were we going to do each week. But for a lot of moms, it's like, oh, do I have to do that with every single subject?
Yes. I am not that
Yeah.
mom.
And so the cool thing about your science program is the very beginning of the book, at the very beginning is the entire thing all mapped out. So you just have to check the box. And it's
Yes.
even got like what supplies you're going to need and where you're going to be at in the book and what copies do you need and everything. So, thank you for that.
Yes, there's also reminders at the beginning of each week and on the day that you need supplies, because I'm the mom that even though I have the material list at the front of the book, we're not going to have those supplies until the day that we're doing it. And so after my third was born, especially, I remember there were a few sleep deprived days where we'd open up the book and I'd be like, oh, we're going to run to the store because we're out of this, that, or the
Baking
other thing.
soda.
And my youngest my middle son at that time was like, well, mom, if you actually looked at it ahead of time, we wouldn't have to run to the store. And I was like, this is life right now.
Car.
Yes, just get in the car. This is life. It's fine.
It's field trip. Anyway, I love that. And for those of you who like engaging books, I'm just going to show you again, if you don't have YouTube, then you're missing out on this. But
yes,
come to YouTube and you get to see. But look at this. There's like coloring pages. It's colorful. There's great little maps. There's awesome photos. If I can't show that, there you go. And just, it's very engaging and very hands-on, and your kids are going to love it. It's bright. It's colorful. It's meant for younger children. So you need it to be beautiful and you need it to be bright and colorful, as well as the content. It's very biblically oriented. Can you talk to me about why you really needed to make sure that your faith was woven through the entire science curriculum to the point where there's even memory verses and things?
Yeah, because I think it's one of the visual representation of our faith. And so we can explore the world and it's amazing and it's fascinating. But when you separate science from our creator, you lose all of the excitement, all of the joy, the reason that stirs our heart. Because we can learn about the phases of the moon and how that pattern is just repeated so faithfully. And that's amazing. It's incredible that our solar system is designed with such incredible intricacy and the timing of it all. But we lose a whole portion of that when we separate it from our creator. When we bring in our creator, we see his faithfulness. We see his order that was brought to things. And then, with the memory verses, I can look up at the night sky when I'm feeling stressed or, whatever's going on around me. I love going out and looking at the night sky and saying, God, you are faithful to put the moon in its place. You are faithfully holding it there. You are faithful in this pattern and you are faithful in my life too. And there are so many things throughout creation when we really dive in and explore them. They remind us of our faith. They remind us of our creator. They remind us of who we are in him, why we can trust him, why we've put our faith in him. And there's just so many lessons. In one of the levels, we explore seaweed and the hold fast and how God is our hold fast. He's our sure foundation. He's what protects us during the storms. And so when we're exploring science, we build up all of these things for our kids so that we're planting those seeds, right? So that when they start facing the storms or the trials or the different things that happen in life, they can look outside and look at the leaves or look at the stars, see these things happening around them and be reminded of the scriptures. And so let's talk science. It really pulls into what we're looking at in science and then how that also connects to our faith. There's always something that we can pull out for our faith that reminds us, it illustrates the character of God to us. And it's right here in front of us. It's visual. We can see it all the time. And we need those reminders because the truth is we're a forgetful people.
We are. We're horrible at it. I think it's good too because what it's doing is it's giving our kids a foundation of linking God and seeing his character in nature, seeing his character in the world around us, seeing his character in science and in science technology and all those things, understanding what God has done in all that. And then it's teaching them to internalize it and build out their faith on it. Because if God can hold the moon, like you said, in the sky, then he has no problem taking care of sickness or a financial need or a question that we have or a job, as they grow, a job issue or a marriage issue. He can take care of that because he cares enough about the moon. He cares even more about me because I'm created in his image.
Exactly.
And we learn that through science.
Yes.
Yeah. So good. And if that wasn't enough, we have something else for you that also goes really well with this science curriculum. And that is on Masterbooks Academy. Carrie has for this and all of her Let's Talk science curriculums, she has video classes that will, if you didn't want to go through and teach all of this because you're just like, it's all I can do. I'm having a new baby this year, or we're dealing with maybe a prolonged sickness of some sort, or we're going to be moving this year, or my mom is moving in with us, my mother-in-law, whatever is happening in your life. And you're just like, if there's just one thing I can outsource a little bit, science would be a
I'm your
good one.
girl.
Check this out, because on Masterbooks Academy, Carrie has all of her classes. And I asked her, how do they do this for $35 a year? I just want to know, because it's like everything is there that you can have, and it corresponds with the book. So talk about those classes and what you do.
Yeah. So on the Masterbooks Academy, we took the courses, and I wanted to make them as accessible as possible. So they're designed to be really accessible, and I wanted to take them to the next level because, like you said, there's life, there's babies, there's special needs, there's all of these things that happen that we can feel like our time is so divided, or even just teaching multiple kids. And you need to be helping this one with their reading lesson, and this one needs you to read the lesson. And so one of the things that we did is the Academy will read through the whole textbook. And so it's almost like an audiobook, but better, because they have it on the screen and it follows through paragraph by paragraph, so they can read along if they want. You can slow down the reading speed. You can speed it up. I tend to be a pretty fast talker, so I know some people appreciate the being able to slow it down a little bit. But there's that feature. It goes through, like I said, it reads the whole book. So if you're having a busy morning or whatever, you can say, okay, here's your lesson. Go through it, and then we'll come back and we'll do your worksheet. And so it's going to guide the students through that process. My boys and I work together on the courses. So there's an Academy course for levels 1 through 4, and where there's memory verses, my sons and I went and we did the motions, so you can do the motions with us and learn those memory verses with my boys and I. And then we also went through and did all the activities and experiments in the course. So if you're not able to get to an activity or whatever, you can watch us do it and kind of work through it, see how it's going to go. You can prepare your student for it, or they can just sit and watch and see how it's done. And some of the levels, there's some bloopers, which are really fun to kind of see the areas that we made mistakes or things that happened. And for levels 3 and 4, there's a drawing component. So they're creating their own science notebooks for that. And so I did drawing tutorials because I'm not an artist. But they're able to draw along with me too, so that if a student's feeling really intimidated about where to start, they can just kind of follow along and see where our picture takes us.
Yeah, could it be any easier? Honestly, you guys, could it be any easier? It's just why I love what you all do over there, because you guys have thought it. Many of you, I would say almost all of you, are homeschoolers. Either you've been homeschooled, you are homeschooling, or you have homeschooled. And so you understand all the dynamics of that and what that looks like. You also get just kind of the whole, how that all looks together and what makes it easy. Because like you said, if you're doing 4 kids and they're at all different levels, if there's ways that you can make your life easier, mother, you need to do that. It's important for you.
Yes.
You do that, Carrie.
Yeah. And it's also great for students with dyslexia. I have a student who's very, very dyslexic. And so reading a textbook is very intimidating for him. But I can give him independence to say, here you go, read along with it, what you can. And he doesn't feel less than, as is so easy to happen. He has his independence and he feels strong and capable and able. And so I love that about the Academy courses too, that they just give that to help enable a student.
Yeah. And the earlier we can give our kids independence, the better it is for us later on when they really kind of just take it anyway.
Yes.
And they know, it's a good thing.
Yes, for sure.
So how does it work? Like, it doesn't take the place of parents. I mean, it can, I guess, of parents being hands-on. I think it's one of those things where you get to kind of pick and choose where you want to be hands-on. Is that right?
Yeah. Yeah, I would still very highly encourage doing the activities where you can. And there is that hands-on component. There's also, I can't interact with your student the way that you can. And so there's usually discussion starters in science. And so I encourage parents, still be very involved, know what the lessons are, have those conversations, because that's such an important part of learning too. And so you can be building on that. When things come up in life, you can refer back to lessons. I know that's happened so much with my kids when they have a question or when something hard hard happens and we're discussing those topics again. So they're going to relieve needing to read. They're going to relieve teaching the memory verses, those kind of things, like the more labor intensive tasks. And then I still encourage parents very much, have fun with the hands-on, because that's where we're creating our memories. That's where we're having fun and laughing together. Yeah. And you can totally watch us do it and have a great time with us too. But there is still that component that you still want to be able to experience that with your kids.
And being a parent and being a hands-on teacher is the difference between school at home and homeschool. Yes. I'm always trying to get people, there's school at home where you just give your kids a screen and a curriculum and just go, okay, let me know how it goes. If you have any questions, I'm in the kitchen, or I'm here, or I'm right here with you, or whatever. And for some people, that's what you have to do for a season. I get that. Yes. No judgment at all, because you got to do what you got to do. Like I always say to parents, you got to get your kids out of a toxic situation. If they're in one, then do what you have to do to make that happen, whatever that looks like. And while you investigate kind of what does this look like for our family and how does this work for our family? But if you really want to be a homeschooler, it's parent involved, parent led. And Masterbooks is giving you not just, or Carrie and Masterbooks is giving you not just, like the curriculum without the video component, but they're giving you that video component too that you can register for, that will just kind of alleviate some of that extra pressure. But yeah, I would encourage you not to just leave it all to video. Like make it a hands-on thing.
Yeah. And I think there can be a lot of pressure or apprehension thinking, well, if it's hands-on, it's going to take me so much time and it has to be perfect and it has to look like this. And I can't do that because life is XYZ, or my baby's going to be crying, or the toddler interrupting. Like you said, homeschool is family together. And it doesn't have to look perfect. It doesn't have to be big and complicated and all of these things. We're just together and we're exploring together and we're seeing what God has for us today. Because I know, even for myself, I wrote the books and my boys and I went through them. And there were days where you open up the book and the scripture passage speaks to me so much more than it's speaking to them in that moment, because God had that there for me too. On that particular day, he knew that that's what I needed. And sometimes in the busyness of life, as moms, and we're so busy and we're divided on everything through life, the Lord knows what we need even in those moments. And he can speak to us through a textbook too when we're opening it and life is in chaos. But right there, the Lord had something for us. And I love that, just his care and concern and guidance for us.
We don't want to rob ourselves of teachable moments for our own heart as well, yes. And science does that. I know it did that for me, Carrie, when I was homeschooling my kids. I was not in school a sciencey person. I was not a math and science girl. I was, believe it or not, I was all about the language arts.
Totally.
Surprise. But I just remember thinking, gosh, Laura, I'm going to have to teach these kids like classes I've never taken and things that I never really got into. And so I just did what I had to do to get whatever grade I got and move on. And you know what the Lord did? He gave me a heart for him. It gave me a different perspective on who he is when I started to really understand biology, or I started to really understand, creation, when I really started to understand chemistry of all things,
Right.
And just what does that do for our kids when they start with that foundation?
Right. Yeah, because that's a lifelong impact on faith right there.
It is. It gives them a real idea of not just who God is, but who they are.
Right.
And how they were created. They were fearfully and wonderfully made. And what does that actually mean?
Right.
Yeah. Well, I'm just so grateful that you had the time to come with us today. Guys, everything we talked about is going to be in the description of this podcast. I'm super excited that, Carrie, you wrote these books, and I just want to encourage you all to just check them out. Go to the website, look at it, see how it can apply to your family, how it can apply for your homeschool. Just really dig into science. I mean, it's just a really important subject. It's universally one of the subjects that we're all required to teach, no matter what state you live in, no matter where you are. Yes. Your kids need it to get into college or to just even live life. So, why not make it fun and engaging? Yes. Why not make it beautiful? Do you have any last words that you want to say, or encouragements you want to say to parents that are homeschoolers?
I'm so honored to be a part of so many families' homeschool journeys. And my encouragement to moms is usually just take a step back. Ask the Lord for wisdom where you need it, because none of us know all the answers. None of us are getting it all perfect, but the Lord supplies wisdom. And we put a ton of pressure on ourselves, but really at the end of the day, we're helping them learn, we're helping them become lifelong learners, and we are developing their faith, which is the most important thing of all. So you've got it, Mama. Keep going. You're doing great.
That's awesome. Thank you, Carrie. We're going to leave it right there, I think. That was really good. Thank you so much for taking time to be with us
Thank
today.
you.
I appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.